Hi, I'm Rodney Donahue, and today I'm going to talk about one of my favorite episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation. Initially, I left this episode off of my top 5, but I want to make sure that I talk about it before I talk about anything else, so today I'm talking about the Drumhead. So what happens in the Drumhead?
This is not unlike a Drumhead trial.
I do not understand.
There are two problems on the Enterprise: a security breach of information and sabotage of the warp core. Due to these incidents, an expert investigator and her team are brought aboard to take over. Though the security breach is solved quickly, and the warp core turns out to be an unrelated malfunction.
This wasn't sabotage at all. It was nothing more than an accident.
The investigator begins a witch hunt that eventually lands Picard in hot water as a potential co-conspirator.
Admiral Settee has ordered you to report to the interrogation room at 0900 hours tomorrow morning.
What is the purpose of the Drumhead?
I suggest we continue, if for no other purpose than to determine Tarsus's innocence.
Now, please, let me remind you he is innocent until he is proved guilty.
This episode is about how easy it is to allow people to operate with impunity and without oversight, and how easy it is to allow suspicion and paranoia to override evidence and good judgment.
Let us keep our perspective, gentlemen. Just because there was no sabotage doesn't mean there isn't a conspiracy on this ship.
What makes the Drumhead a great episode? Well, the first thing that makes the Drumhead a great episode is that the actual problems on the Enterprise, are rooted out very quickly by the crew. Jadan is exposed by Worf.
I've been pursuing the investigation of Lieutenant Jadan. I believe I know how he transferred information off the Enterprise.
Well done, Lieutenant.
And Data and Geordi determine the explosion was an accident.
I believe, sir, that the conclusion to our investigation must be that the explosion was not intentional.
It's only the rogue element of Admiral Settee and the broad jurisdiction she has that elongates the problem in this episode.
I'm going to get to the heart of this conspiracy, if it means investigating every last person on this ship.
The second thing that makes this a great episode of Star Trek The Next Generation is that we very often see Picard's heroes, like Boothby or Professor Galen, live up to his expectations. And it's interesting to see him admire Settee as an extension of her father.
That sounds like Judge Aaron Settee.
You knew my father?
Only from his writings. His judgments were required reading at the Academy.
Who is a great judge. And then to see him lose faith in her over the course of the episode. Picard throws her dad's words in her face in the end.
Those words were uttered by Judge Aaron Settee.
And she is revealed as a poor extension of her father.
I fear that day.
How dare you!
In the end, Settee loses her purpose, so she will never be allowed to do this again.
I have nothing more to say.
What is the best moment in the Drumhead?
Do you see what is happening here, Mr. Worf?
Every moment with Picard is perfect in the Drumhead. His concern about a possible conspiracy, his relief at Geordi and Data's findings, his resolve that the hearings should end.
The hearings on Simon Tarses will stop.
His kindness toward Tarses.
An elm tree with a circular bench?
Yes, that's the one.
I spent many an hour there. It was my favorite spot to study.
His preoccupation with the expansion of this investigation.
Sir?
Yes? Yes, of course. Proceed, Mr. Data.
His plea that falls on deaf ears at the beginning of his trial.
I implore you, do not continue with this proceeding.
His shame, recalling the incident with the Borg.
One wonders how you can sleep at night. having caused so much destruction.
And his resolution with Worf at the end of the episode.
But she, or someone like her, will always be with us.
Worf is also great in the Drumhead, first serving as an instrument for Sati, then coming around during Picard's time in the hot seat.
Captain Picard did the only thing he could.
I understand Worf's desire to participate. He is highly motivated to expose Romulan treachery. He wants revenge on the Romulans for the dishonor that he is suffering because of their actions.
I don't know how you transferred secret information to the Romulans, but I will find out.
Tarsis is a Romulan. So when Worf discovers this, he's ready to shine a light all over Simon Tarsis. Every step that Simon Tarsis has ever taken, Worf is ready to tread back on.
Ensign Kellogg, I want a list of all relatives, known associates, and especially old school friends.
Are there any fun or funny moments in the Drumhead?
If Counselor Troy suggested to you that someone on this ship were dangerous...
At the very beginning, Picard reconsiders Troy's use as a bridge officer.
I admit I probably would. And perhaps I should reevaluate that behavior.
Sati asks if Picard would rely on Troy's intuition. Picard says yes, and then he decides that since that's what Sati is doing, he's not going to do it anymore. So Troy's usefulness on the bridge is almost up. Worf's deep dive into Tarsis' past is pretty good. There's a creepy stenographer who records everything that Picard says. I am certain there are plenty of internet videos about this, but the hot seat chair is very obviously an adjustable office chair. In the last shot of the episode, the studio lights play off of Patrick Stewart's bald head. There are not a lot of high-angle shots in Star Trek The Next Generation, and this is one of the reasons why.
That's true.
Sati tells a very sad story about how she has no friends.
I have no friends.
Probably because she's busy convicting them of crimes they didn't commit.
How dare you!
If the Drumhead won an award, what would it be? I was going to say the Drumhead should win Best TNG Exit Ever, but instead this episode wins the award for most tea parties in a single episode.
There you are, Mr. Tarsis. Would you care for some lemon?
And that's the Drumhead. The Drumhead is one of my favorite episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation.
You have nothing to prove to us.
Initially, I didn't want to talk about the Drumhead because Mike and Rich talked about it in their top 5 episodes of Next Generation on Red Letter Media.
I do not understand.
But I have a lot to say about the episode, so I wanted to make sure to touch on it before I move on to some of the worst episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation.
I don't think there's need for more.
I'm already into the worst episodes of Season 2 of Next Gen, so that's probably what I'm going to do next. So here's to Shades of Grey.
I object.
From Boothby to Galen, when we are introduced to them, we see the regard that Picard has. I can't say regard for Picard.